The Assisted Dying Bill has passed its first reading in the House of Commons. It marks a watershed moment for British social policy by 330 votes to 275. That's 55 votes. MPs have taken the first step towards legalising assisted dying for terminally ill patients in the middle of a heated debate, emotional testimony, and significant public interest. A debate that was really much shorter than it should have been, given the importance of this subject, with MPs meeting on a Friday, a day they wouldn't normally attend the House of Commons. Friday is normally the day for MPs to go to their constituencies and work on their constituency work, hold surgeries in their constituencies. Well, that is for everybody except for Nigel Farage, who defiantly won't. And this vote, though historic, has left the House and the public deeply divided. The Labour MP and former TV personality Kim Ledbetter, who introduced the bill, framed it as an act of compassion and choice, declaring that it would end the brutal and cruel reality of the status quo. I agree, it's a bitter and cruel reality. Her examples of terminally ill patients enduring prolonged suffering evoked a moral imperative, and Ledbetter reassured critics that the bill contains the most robust safeguards in the world, requiring the approval of 2 doctors and a High Court judge, thus mitigating fears of misuse or coercion. And yet only 10 minutes later, another MP pointed out a series of serious lapses in the bill and great concerns, which were then ridiculed by Richard Tice. Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, lent his support alongside MPs from across the political spectrum, signalling broad ideological backing. Jessica Asato highlighted the risks posed to vulnerable individuals under the current system, including instances of botched suicide attempts and patients travelling abroad to die without proper family or legal support. Supporters argue that the bill aligns with the public will, citing consistent polling that shows overwhelming backing for assisted dying laws, and they further invoked precedent. Private members' bills historically achieved transformative outcomes, such as the decriminalisation of homosexuality and the legalisation of abortion. Critics of the bill countered with warnings about unintended consequences. The Labour MP Barry Gardiner cautioned that terminally ill patients might feel an ethical obligation to die to spare their families emotional or financial burden, a sentiment echoed by Melanie Ward, who cited alarming statistics from Washington state where such pressures were reported. Danny Kruger, a Conservative MP, framed the bill as a vote for despair, describing it as tantamount to state suicide as a service. He and others expressed fears of a slippery slope, the thin end of the wedge, where safeguards could erode over time, citing concerns from other jurisdictions such as Canada, where the criteria for assisted dying have expanded. Diane Abbott delivered a poignant rebuttal of the bill's assurances, questioning the efficacious instance or the safeguards that are cited, and asking whether or not they are in fact efficacious. She quoted former Judge Sir James Munby: "Only those who believe in judicial omniscience can possibly have confidence in what is proposed." She warned that coercion could manifest subtly, not through overt force, but through silence and the expectations of society. The disability campaigner George Fielding added to the critical lens, arguing that the NHS's broken systems render such legislation inherently unsafe. He suggested that the government should focus instead on equitable access to quality palliative care, a point reinforced by Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary, who opposed the bill because of the strain it could impose on already overstretched NHS resources. The debate oscillated between compelling philosophical inquiry and partisan missteps. Jonathan Davis raised thoughtful parallels with the pandemic, warning that the shifts in society's acceptance of issues demonstrate how society's views can shift dangerously under stress. And in contrast, Ledbetter's claim that judicial endorsement of the bill was unanimous was later retracted, weakening her position. Notably, the debate exposed divisions within parties. Jeremy Corbyn stood alongside Kemi Badenoch in opposition, while Boris Johnson, though absent from the vote, voiced strong disapproval. The former Prime Minister David Cameron, conversely, publicly changed his stance to support the bill, amplifying the evolving nature of the debate. The bill's passage to the committee stage ensures rigorous scrutiny of its provisions, though critics lament the lack of an initial impact assessment, and the House of Lords is expected to engage in further and perhaps fiercer debate. Even if passed, the law would not take effect for up to 2 or 3 years, giving time to establish the infrastructure required for its implementation. While proponents celebrated Friday's vote as a victory for compassion and choice, opponents left the chamber warning of dire social consequences. For them, this vote signals not progress, but peril, raising ethical questions that future generations will undoubtedly resist.